Chris Carbert testified in his own defense today during proceedings in his and Anthony Olenik's trial in Lethbridge, Alberta. Robert Krajcik reporting for Rebel News. Both Chris Carbert and Anthony Olenik are charged with conspiracy to murder. The two men are accused of conspiring to murder police officers during their time at the 2022 Coutts protest and blockade. Rebel News has been on this story since its inception at the 2022 Coutts protest and blockade, where we had our own reporters embedded and reporting on the day-to-day events as they unfolded. Fast forward to today, here we are in July 2024, and we're still here in this trial every single day in the courtroom, whereas our so-called mainstream media competitors are essentially nowhere to be found. The two men are also accused of unlawful possession of a firearm for a dangerous purpose and also mischief over $5,000. Anthony Olenik is additionally charged with unlawful possession of an explosive device for a dangerous purpose. Now, recall that the 2022 Coutts protest and blockade was much like the Freedom Convoy in Ottawa, Ontario around the same time, a civilly disobedient and peaceful demonstration against all of these edicts and orders and mandates issued by all levels of government, ostensibly serving the interest of public health to reduce COVID-19 transmission. Chris Carbert stated that he met Anthony Olenik, his co-accused, for the first time in December of 2021 at this meeting in which people of like mind, people who were increasingly concerned about these worsening social and economic conditions that we're all observing, would contemplate community building in which they would discuss and share ideas about how to become more independent from the infrastructure that most of us depend on in the modern era. They would get together and discuss things like animal husbandry and hunting, farming and agriculture, basic engineering for building homes and so forth, homesteading, and in a basic sense, how to sort of live off-grid, as it were, as they saw this impending social collapse. Chris Carbert also stated that he was offered $1,500 from the government. He didn't specify what level of government, in order to get his employees in his landscaping business to take these so-called COVID-19 vaccines. Chris Carbert also denied having conversations about firearms or explosives that he allegedly partook in, according to testimony from a Crown witness, a female RCMP undercover operator, a UCO, who said in her testimony that she overheard conversations involving Chris Carbert and Anthony Olenik dealing with firearms and explosives. Chris Carbert also directly addressed one of the key claims from the prosecution, that a man named Jerry Morin went to Chris Carbert's private residence to pick up firearms to deliver to Coutts to facilitate this alleged conspiracy to murder police officers. Recall that Jerry Morin is a former member of the original Coutts 4 group, who, alongside Chris Lysak, another former member, and Chris Carbert and Anthony Olenik, were the original four men accused by the Crown of conspiring to murder police officers during the Coutts protest and blockade. Since then, both Morin and Lysak submitted plea deals and pled guilty to lesser firearms charges, and the two men were sentenced to time they already served in remand.
Well, to be honest, I thought he came across very credible. He didn't hesitate in what was asked of him. And it sounds just like Chris, just who he is and why he was there. Just knowing some of the disclosure myself, I think some things had changed up a little bit, but mostly, as Chris stated today, he was so sick that he spent very little time out. The undercovers did admit they spent very little direct time with Chris.
Right.
And so I don't know when they actually had an opportunity in the presence of Tony also that they would have talked like that.
Right. One of the special things among many of Rebel News is that we've essentially been here since day one. Since the actual demonstration in Coutts in 2022, leading all the way to the proceedings here in July of 2024, there's no other news media organization that can claim that sort of commitment and investment in this continually unfolding story. And remember, unlike our so-called mainstream media competitors, we're not getting handouts from the federal government in order to toe that line. And that's where, of course, our beloved audience comes in, because your donations and contributions are what keep us accountable and keep this journalistic enterprise going. So please continue to do so we can keep doing what it is that we love to do. And visit truckertrial.com, help us out, and stay up to date with our ongoing coverage.